Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when the ground beneath us cracks, when the plans we made unravel, when the mirror no longer reflects the person we once believed ourselves to be. And in that moment, painful, quiet, and raw, we are faced with a decision to break or to rebuild. Rebuilding yourself is not a matter of luck. It is not about waiting for the right time or the perfect conditions. It is a decision bold, unwavering, and often made in silence. It is a battle fought not with others, but with the self, the part of you that doubts, that fears, that clings to the comfort of yesterday. There is a profound moment in every individual's life when everything seems to fall apart, when plans shatter, relationships fade, careers crumble, or health decline. In such moments, it's natural to feel powerless, to believe that the circumstances are in control and that we are merely reacting to whatever life throws at us. But the truth is far more empowering. Rebuilding yourself is not something you wait to do once things get better. It is a choice you make right in the heart of difficulty. Most people believe that change begins when conditions improve, when the timing is right, when the storm passes. But waiting for perfect conditions is a trap. The world does not stop spinning for your pain. The storm may not end tomorrow, and the timing may never feel ideal. If you wait, life will continue to pass you by, and you will find yourself rooted in place, hoping for rescue. The ones who rise are not those who had fewer problems. They are those who refuse to be defined by them. Choosing to rebuild yourself in the midst of chaos requires a certain mental toughness, but more than that, it requires clarity. Clarity to recognize that you still have power, even when things feel out of control. You still have power over your thoughts, over your responses, over your choices. The outside world may be in disarray, but your inner world can be the ground zero of transformation. It all begins with that single internal decision: I will not stay here, I will rise. This choice is often quiet. It doesn't come with fanfare or celebration. No one may notice when you make it, and that's okay. The most powerful decisions are usually made in silence. You might be lying in bed, exhausted when it hits you, or walking down the street feeling lost when you suddenly think, I'm done living like this. That thought, when backed with commitment, is the spark of a new beginning. You don't need to have the entire plan figured out. You just need to choose to begin. What makes this choice so significant is that it places the responsibility and the power back into your own hands. It removes the illusion that you are at the mercy of life. And once you realize that you are not broken permanently, that pain is part of the process, but not the end of it, you begin to understand that you are the one holding the tool. Life may have knocked you down, but the rebuild is yours to command. Every day, people from every walk of life make that choice. People who have lost everything, who've been counted out, who've been told they'll never recover. And they prove that the decision to rebuild is not about what you have, it's about what you decide. Some of the strongest individuals you'll ever meet were once broken, not because they had superhuman strength, but because they made the decision to rise when it would have been easier to stay down. That decision changes everything. Belief is the silent engine behind every great transformation. It is the invisible force that turns the impossible into the inevitable. Without belief, no strategy will work, no motivation will last, and no change will hold. Before you can rebuild yourself, before you can take even the first step forward, you must believe not just in the idea of change, but in your ability to become something greater than what you currently are. This belief isn't blind optimism or wishful thinking. It's not pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's a decision to trust that your life can be different even if you don't yet see how. It means acknowledging the reality of your current circumstances while refusing to accept them as your permanent identity. Belief begins when you realize that your present situation, no matter how difficult or painful, does not define your future unless you allow it to. So many people carry the weight of failure on their backs like a permanent burden. They let mistakes from the past become the limit of what they believe is possible. But the truth is, failure is not a life sentence, it's feedback, it's information, it's the rough sketch before the masterpiece. The only difference between those who rebuild and those who remain stuck is the belief that they can rise from where they are. That belief may start small, even fragile, but once it takes root, it begins to shift everything around it. Your mind is the soil, and belief is the seed. Whatever you plant there and nurture with attention and intention will grow. If you constantly feed yourself thoughts of doubt, fear, and limitation, those will flourish. But if you begin, even quietly, to feed yourself the idea that you are capable, that you are worthy of better, that you are not done yet, you start to see the world and yourself through a different lens. Belief changes your posture. It changes how you speak to yourself. It makes you move differently, take risks you previously avoided, and persist in moments where you once would have quit. People often ask, how do I start rebuilding when I have nothing? You start with belief. You don't need a million resources or a perfect plan. You need the conviction that you are not stuck and that your life still holds possibilities that haven't been realized. That conviction becomes your compass. It points you in the direction of your next step, and with each action you take, belief strengthens. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be loud. What matters is that it's present. Even if no one else sees your potential, even if the world is telling you that your best days are behind you, belief allows you to see beyond that noise. It gives you the courage to rewrite your narrative. Belief isn't always built on evidence. Sometimes it's built on a decision to trust yourself, even when there's no visible proof. Desire is the ignition behind every personal transformation. Without it, the will to rebuild fades into hesitation, and the fire of action never sparks. But this isn't about casual wanting or the kind of empty wishes people whisper when life feels overwhelming. This is about a deep, burning desire that consumes doubt and fuels persistence. It's a kind of hunger that doesn't sleep, a drive that keeps pushing forward even when every external condition says stop. True desire is more than wanting to feel better. It's the demand for change. It's the decision that enough is enough. It often starts with dissatisfaction, a restlessness that something needs to shift. That discomfort, when embraced rather than ignored, can evolve into a powerful force that drives you forward. It's not about being angry at where you are. It's about being unwilling to stay there. That's where the real transformation begins, not in comfort, but in the tension between who you are and who you know you could become. When desire becomes more than a thought, when it becomes a need, a fire in the gut, you no longer wait for motivation. You stop relying on external validation or circumstances to push you. You push yourself. Desire becomes the engine that keeps you going when others quit, when the path gets hard, when progress is slow. You start showing up consistently, not because it's easy, but because you can't not show up. You've made the decision. You've lit the flame. And now you're walking through it, not away from it. This kind of desire changes your relationship with effort. What used to feel like sacrifice becomes necessary. What once felt like a chore becomes part of the mission. You're no longer counting the cost, you're counting the gains. That's the power of real desire. It shifts your mindset from I have to into I get to. When rebuilding yourself, this shift is essential. Without it, effort feels forced. With it, effort feels meaningful, even when it's hard. People often ask how to stay committed. The answer lies in the intensity of your desire. If you're still negotiating with your excuses, your desire hasn't reached its full flame yet. When it does, excuses don't last. They get burned away by clarity. You no longer seek comfort, you seek progress. You no longer fear failure, you fear being the same. That kind of desire doesn't just push you forward, it pulls you toward your future. And the beautiful truth is that anyone can ignite this fire. It's not reserved for the privileged, the gifted, or the already successful. It belongs to anyone bold enough to claim it. It doesn't require permission. It doesn't need applause. It only needs a decision that your life, your identity, your future are worth fighting for. When that decision is made, and when desire becomes a constant flame rather than a passing spark, rebuilding yourself becomes not just possible, it becomes inevitable. Rebuilding yourself is not about grand gestures or sudden dramatic transformations. It's about consistent action, taken day after day, even when results aren't immediate and motivation isn't present. The most powerful changes happen quietly, beneath the surface, through habits and choices that seem small in the moment but accumulate into something extraordinary over time. This is the truth that many overlook because it's not flashy, It doesn't attract applause. It doesn't create instant gratification, but it works. Action is the bridge between desire and reality. You can believe in yourself, you can burn with desire, but without action, nothing changes. And not just any action, consistent, focused, and intentional action. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about doing the right thing again and again until it becomes part of who you are. This kind of discipline is the foundation on which you build a new version of yourself. One small step, repeated with purpose, becomes a habit. A habit sustained with belief becomes a lifestyle. And a lifestyle rooted in aligned action creates transformation. The challenge is that the results don't show up right away. You might go to the gym, change your diet, start journaling, or work on your craft for days, weeks, even months, and still feel like nothing is changing. That's where most people stop. But the ones who rebuild understand something deeper. Every action, no matter how small, is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're proving to your mind that you are capable of change. Consistency is often mistaken for monotony. People assume it's boring. But consistency is the rhythm of success. It is what separates those who wish for change from those who create it. The truth is, real growth is often unglamorous. It happens when no one's watching. It happens in the quiet moments when you choose to keep going instead of giving in to doubt. And it happens when you're willing to commit to the process even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. This mindset doesn't come naturally, it's built. You develop it by showing up when you don't feel like it, by putting in the work when no one is there to cheer you on. It's the mindset of someone who understands that transformation isn't about intensity, it's about persistence. You don't need to do everything today, you just need to do something, and then do it again tomorrow. The power of consistent action is that it doesn't just change your results, it changes your identity. With each small win, each disciplined decision, you stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying to change and start seeing yourself as someone who does change. You begin to embody the new version of yourself, not through words or intentions, but through repeated action. And in that process, what once felt impossible starts to become natural. Not because it got easier, but because you got stronger. Every person has a story. Some of that story is written by the world, by circumstances, by upbringing, by moments out of their control. But the most powerful part of the story is the part you get to write yourself. That's the part that determines the direction of your life. You are not merely a character in a book someone else authored. You are the author. You hold the pen, and at any moment, you can decide to write a new chapter. You can shift the plot, develop new strength, change your path. That is the power of personal responsibility, and it is the foundation of transformation. Too often, people live as if life is happening to them instead of through them. They wait for change to come from outside, for someone to help them, rescue them, motivate them, or show them the way. But the truth is, no one is coming to save you. That might sound harsh, but it's also freeing, because it means you don't have to wait for permission to evolve. You don't need to depend on anyone else to start. Everything begins when you take ownership. That ownership gives you power, the power to stop repeating cycles, to stop making excuses, and to stop believing the lie that your future is tied to your past. When you realize you are the author of your destiny, everything shifts. Setbacks become scenes in the story, not the end of it. Failure becomes a plot twist, not a permanent identity. The opinions of others lose their weight, because your story is no longer built for their approval, it's built for your growth. And when the story belongs to you, you don't need everyone to understand it. You don't need them to validate your journey. You just need to keep writing it with intention and courage. This doesn't mean you'll always know what to do. It doesn't mean you won't face doubt or uncertainty. But it does mean you no longer surrender your power to fear or indecision. You choose to act, to move, to learn, and to keep writing forward. The most incredible transformations often begin not when everything is clear, but when someone decides that they are done being a passive participant in their own life. That decision is what opens the door to a different future. People who rebuild their lives do it because they take control of their narrative. They stop letting old labels stick. They stop letting one chapter define the entire story. They start speaking to themselves differently, seeing themselves differently, and treating themselves like someone who is worthy of a new beginning. That mindset invites new actions, and those actions produce new outcomes. Over time, the story transforms not because of one defining moment, but because of 1,000 small decisions to keep turning the page. You are not trapped in a script written by your past. You are not destined to repeat what has already happened. You are the one with the pen in your hand, and the next word is yours to choose. Struggles are often seen as barriers, as painful detours that interrupt the course of life. But when you look deeper, when you strip away the discomfort and disappointment, you find something hidden within every challenge, the raw material of strength. No one becomes unbreakable without first being broken. No one discovers their full capacity without first being tested. The truth is, struggle is not the opposite of strength, it is the process that forges it. Life has a way of revealing what you're made of, not in times of ease, but in moments of pressure. Pressure shows you where you need to grow, what you truly believe, and how much you're willing to fight for what matters. It strips away the surface and exposes the core. And while that exposure can be uncomfortable, it is also where transformation begins. Struggles are not simply obstacles to endure, they are opportunities to evolve. They call forth qualities within you that comfort never could. Patience, resilience, courage, focus, humility. Many people see struggle as a sign of weakness or failure, but it is often the very thing that awakens the deeper parts of a person. Struggle makes you reflect. It forces you to ask hard questions and confront parts of yourself you might otherwise avoid. It invites you to rebuild not just your external life, but your mindset, your beliefs, your self-image. It teaches you that pain can be purposeful, that suffering is not wasted when it's used to grow. Some of the strongest individuals in the world are not those who have avoided hardship, but those who have lived through it, felt every moment of it, and emerged with a deeper understanding of who they are. Their strength doesn't come from pretending they were never hurt. It comes from learning how to move forward even while carrying the weight of what they've been through. That kind of strength doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. It's quiet, it's steady, it's unshakable. When you embrace the struggle rather than resist it, something changes within you. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of life and start seeing yourself as a participant in your own growth. Struggles no longer feel like punishments. They become training grounds. They build character, refine focus, and demand growth. Each challenge becomes a lesson, each setback a forge, and each difficulty a test of your inner resolve. This shift in perspective is what empowers people to rebuild. Because once you understand that the storm didn't come to destroy you, but to develop you, you stop fearing adversity. You begin to use it. Every failure, every loss, every painful season becomes part of your foundation, not something to hide from, but something to build on. It adds depth to your wisdom, strength to your spine, and clarity to your purpose. Strength born from struggle is the kind that endures. It doesn't fade when things get hard again. It grows stronger because it's not built on circumstance, it's built on choice. It's the result of someone deciding to rise anyway.